Now let us look at how to add or delete a constraint. So till now, we did not have any constraint on any of the columns. If I want to add a constraint, such as my first name or the customer ID cannot be null, so that whenever I'm getting the data entered from any source, my database checks and confirms that it is conforming to the specified constraints. To do that, we will need to add that particular constraint to our table. To add that constraint, this is the syntax: alter table, table name, alter column, column name set to not null. So this particular column cannot be null. Whenever you will be inserting data into any particular column, this column must have some value. If it is not having any value, it will give a error. So let us go and run this query. Alter table, customer table, alter column, column name. This is cust ID, and this should not be not null. So set not null. So the not null constraint will be applied to cust ID now. Let us run this. This is successful. Now let us try to insert values where customer ID is missing. So we will insert into customer table. We'll need to specify the column names. We will start with first name, last name, age, and email ID, customer email. And then it will have values A, B, C, D, A, B, 25, and an email ID. So when I run this command, I get this error: null value in column customer ID, which violates the not null constraint. This is the constraint that we applied earlier. Now, if I want to remove this constraint, how to remove this particular constraint? Let us go and check the syntax first. Syntax to remove the not null constraint is same as above, but instead of the set keyword, we'll be using the drop keyword. So let us go and write this command with the drop keyword. Alter table, table name, alter column, cust ID, drop not null. So this will drop the constraint of not null. Let us run this. Ran successfully. Now let us try to insert the earlier one. This also ran successfully. Let us run the select star command to check if the data is added. You can see cust ID is having null value because it did not have the constraint of not null. Next, now if you remember, we also discussed that there is a constraint named check. If you want to put a check on the value that any particular column is containing. So let us now add a constraint where the customer ID value cannot be less than 0. So it cannot be negative. So we'll add a constraint that the value should be greater than equal to 1. So let us go to the PG admin interface and add this constraint. Alter table, table name, add constraint, mention the column name, cust ID, and check in bracket, cust ID should be greater than equal to 0, greater than 0. So let's run this. It ran successfully. Now let us try to insert a value where cust ID will be negative. So insert into table name, values -1, A, C, D, 67, and an email ID, cd@xyz.com. So if we will run this, we should get an error. And we do. If you read the error, it says new row for relation customer table violates check constraint. That's the check constraint that we added, and it is violating that particular constraint. Apart from this, you can specify whether a particular column is a primary key for you or not. And you can also specify a column to be a foreign key. We discussed primary and foreign key earlier also. And in the later part of the course, you will find another separate video on primary and foreign keys. So let us add this constraint of primary key and a foreign key on our table. First, let's look at the syntax. So to make a column a primary key, this is the syntax: alter table, table name, add primary key, and then the column name. So if we go and make cust ID our primary key, we will write alter table, table name, add primary key, then the column name. This will make cust ID as the primary key. So the column name should be in brackets, bracket cust ID, and we run this command. So you can see that we are getting an error message which is saying column cust ID contains null values. So we are unable to make cust ID as a primary key because it is containing a null value, whereas primary key cannot have null values. Therefore, what we will do is we will delete the row which has the null value, and then we will make it the primary key. Delete from customer table. So if you remember this, we did in the previous videos, how to delete rows from a table. We will not put any condition, we will clean the table. Delete from customer table. So delete from customer table, we will run. So now our table has no values. Now that my table is clean, I'll insert one value into our table using the insert into command. Let us run this insert into command. So if I run select star, I can see that I have that one value. See, you can see that we have that value. Now let us make cust ID as the primary key. Order table, customer table, add primary key. Brackets, cust ID. Run this command. ran successfully. It is now a primary key. So to make any particular column as a foreign key, we have given a syntax here. This presentation will be part of the resources for this lecture. I'll suggest that you open this presentation, look at the syntax, and try to do it on your own. So in this video, we have learned how to change the structure of the table. Now it is time to master all the commands of data querying. We'll see you in the next video.